Hello, it's Angie, and I'm back because I want to make a video response to my hug decks. Um, and I'll link down below to the original and some other videos that I've watched. But before I do my video response to that, I kind of wanted to talk about something else and start my own tag, or maybe revive an old tag because it's not that original, so it's probably been done before. But I just wanted to talk about decks that really pull you into their world, that really transport you into their world. So I have here today the Circle of Life Tarot. And this is done by Maria Distefano. It's an older deck, but I recently received it earlier this week along with Mary L. And I've really been pulled into it, into the world that's depicted on these cards. Whether that's because it's a new deck or maybe because it's round, as well as the artwork, who knows. But I just wanted to do a bit of a walkthrough and just talk about in the ways in which this deck has really pulled me into its world more than any other deck. I think I haven't felt this way since my very first deck ever when I was just starting high school. So it's been a long time. So let's have a look. Here we have the Fool. And I love how colorful he is. I love that he's older. You know, he has this huge cap here. Is it full? Is it empty? Is it just waiting to be filled with knowledge on his journey? But the vibrant yet soft coloring of it really draws me in. This is a beautiful magician. He just looks so wise. He reminds me of like a cross between Gandalf and Santa Claus. But I like that he has a finger pointing up, a finger pointing down. And again, just the imagery really draws me into the world. The wispy beard, it looks mythical. Here we have the High Priestess. You know, the dark pillar, with the light pillar with the dark side, the light side with the dark pillar. And this image just makes me look at it twice, you know. The horns here look like they could be legs. And at this point, I really start to get the sense that this is a really mythical world that we're about to enter. And then we have the Empress kind of in a corner, touching a mirror but looking away, flowers in her hair. And there's little like creatures here in the detailing on the rock hidden around. And then the Emperor has his little minions around bringing him things. And here you have a broken mirror that almost looks like it could be the mirror from the Empress card. You know, they both have that same coloring and the same shape. So the storytelling in these cards is really good as well. You can see connections between the cards. Each character seems like he has his own story. Here we have the Hierophant. He's holding his scrolls of knowledge, a chalice in one hand. I like that we're taken to the point of view of the subjects. You know, we're looking up at the teacher, and you can put yourself in that position and imagine what they are trying to tell you. The lovers wrapped within each other. You can see that they're tied together, so you get that sense of their movements being synchronized. They have to work together. This Chariot card is interesting. It's not moving, but the Charioteer is in there. You have one Sphinx looking in the opposite direction of the other Sphinx, and I get so pulled into the image. I can imagine the story. You know, they're telling the chariot to go, but it's not moving. Then you have to think about maybe why it's not moving, how you can make it work, what happened to stop this chariot. Maybe they see different things, or they see something coming. You get to build your own story. The Justice card is great. It's, I think, the only kind of more of a voluptuously bodied image in these cards, so I appreciate that at least. And this just reminds me of those blankets, the mermaid tail blankets. So I can imagine her being comfy in her palace, in her blanket, just, you know, judging away. The Hermit here on the mountains or some other rocky area. He's holding a book close. can think about what kind of book it is. Maybe it's his own journals. Maybe he's writing down his own knowledge. And you can really just, or at least I, really get pulled and sucked into these images. I imagine just being there as the hermit. You know, what book am I holding? Why am I holding that book? For the wheel, there's a beetle holding up a snake that's biting its own tail. You have different symbols around the wheel. It's just so different and mythical. It's the same, but at the same time, you know, you have the dragon or the snake. It just looks like it's from another world. Normally, I don't like violence depicted in strength cards, but this deck, because it's circular, kind of has an interesting way of using this image. We can see this figure kind of pulling the lion's hair and the lion fighting back. If you flip it in one direction, it looks like maybe whatever situation you're in, you're being too forceful, or perhaps in a different direction, you need to show more courage or show more force. I like that you can flip this image and it can mean different things. So I don't mind the wrestling of the lion in this deck. Like, I've minded it in others. I've gotten rid of decks because of that. The Hanged here is an angel with its wings crossed. And the coloring is like this light green, almost like a dream. And you have the moon there in the background showing the passage of time. There's some other trees or weeds, and the perspective of them is a bit strange. So again, I feel like I'm not quite in our world. This death card has the skulls, has the baby, it has a snake protecting everything. Also, snakes shed, so you know, that whole idea of change and leaving something behind. But it's just so surreal. Here is the Temperance card, is an angel again. In the Devil card, you see the devil has his eyes closed, he looks kind of bored. It's almost like he doesn't even see or notice these people that are begging and weeping around him. So it gives the kind of sense of maybe he's not even there, and you're feeling trapped because of your own mind. I like this red kind of round, cracked, what I perceive to be as a door. You know, you have to like push through to escape, to get out. In the Tower card, there's demons destroying the tower, and it just makes me think of, why is this happening? What brought this on? Who's inside? I just want to build a whole story around these images. The star here is in the desert. It seems pouring out sand, but there's water beneath them. So I imagine this to be a desert wanderer, or another traveler, a pilgrim maybe. They've been wandering all day. They finally found water. They're pouring out the sand, and they're about to have some hydration before the next day starts. The moon seems to be on another world. Perhaps this is a different moon. There's a lot of the phases shown here, so perhaps it's a planet with different moons. And you're not really sure what's real. Is the figure a part of the squid? Is the squid separate from the figure? They're holding the world or another planet. It's just super surreal, and you're not sure what's what and what's real, which is perfect for the moon. In the sun card, there's this strange lizard. This figure reminds me of like Da Vinci's drawing for some reason, probably the pose. But you can tell like these figures aren't quite human. They kind of remind me of a fae, or they give me like a fae energy. So it really takes me out of reality. Judgment is standing on top of the world. The horn is kind of wrapped around the earth. It's like that, and it reminds me of like the end of the world horn that you blow. So the world's gonna end. What happens next? Do the people down on the earth know that it's happening? You know, what exactly is happening? How's it ending? Then with the world card, you have the fairy sitting with a bunch of animals. It's very calm, peaceful image. Then we get into the suits, and I'll just show a few of these. The ace, for example, this small figure leaping into this giant shell, and you don't know what's in there or what's going to happen in there. And just the way the artist uses the watercoloring in the background makes every image look very dreamy and surreal. Also, once we start seeing more things in the minors with the figures, your sense of perspective is kind of thrown off. Like this figure looks super tiny compared to the shell. So is it like a little fairy jumping into a shell, or is this like some gigantic shell and people are living in a world full of huge creatures? Here we are under the sea with like two mermaid crab type creatures intertwined. Three of Cups creature playing some music. Perhaps it's a sound we can't hear, but there's a little fish in his horn. So maybe it's a sound that the creatures under the sea can hear. You know, like what are they hearing? Are they celebrating? Are they coming together for a purpose? Why is it that we can't hear it? We can't feel that sense of celebration. Let me just flip through here. Oh, this one I found really interesting. You have humanoid type figures and seahorse type figures, and depending how you turn it, you have different perspectives. You know, all the heads are turned in different directions. These creatures are all different individuals. Some are holding one cup, some are holding two cups. So the energy and the sense of this card changes depending on the direction. Here we have a court card, and it's a page, and it's this figure suspended in the air by these little birds. Some of them are pulling them up. There's a couple just sitting on their head. And it's a sense of wonder of being pulled by birds. Again, are these just tiny little creatures, or are these huge birds? We just don't know. And you can really build a story here. Why are the birds helping them? What are they flying away from, or what are they flying towards? The cup here is decorated. It almost looks even like there could be a creature inside of it. And underneath, there's definitely fish. So it seems like they're flying through the water. It's very surreal. The Knight of Cups, a little creature, a little humanoid creature, maybe a fairy, pouring water over the turtle. And they're all just kind of floating on this little bit of island. So where are they going? How will they get there? But they don't seem too worried. They're taking it slow. Another thing about the images in this deck that really helped me with storytelling are all the extra figures. A lot of them are hiding behind the main characters, so you can think about who you want to focus on more in the image, or why are they all there. Here's the king sitting with his drink, but then there's this person almost cowering behind him. This person's sitting here, not looking very impressed. Who are they? Why are they there? The king doesn't even notice them. The dog has a spot here by his feet, so maybe these are his servants. The Ace of Pentacles. There's a child being looked by after this cat lizard creature. So you can think about what happened to the child's parents. How did they end up in this predicament? Where are they going? What are they facing? What's ahead for them? The child's looking back, almost like perhaps there's something behind them. This one is just the shed skin of a snake going through some trees. There's a burrow here. some gremlin type creatures. I guess completing this window, putting the bricks in around. But again, it's such a strange angle. It's like we're looking down on them, yet we're facing them. There's an angel and some creatures or demons. The angel's trying to push them back. And again, it's one of those cards whose meanings really change depending on how the card turns up. This one kind of gave me the creeps the first time I saw it. I thought that this was a figure kind of creeping up on this family. But then I thought it could also just be the different generations portrayed in a family. You have the baby, the mother, maybe the grandmother or a grandparent. They have like a hushing type gesture here. Perhaps they're trying to soothe the others to sleep. The background here is very kind of stark and white, and it makes me think that maybe this is a family on the run, and they've just laid down this blanket and they're trying to sleep somewhere through the night before they have to be on their way again. They're running from something. And again, these aren't the meaning of the cards. The little booklet that comes with the deck is actually very down to earth, with really good meanings in it. But this is just kind of the stories that I can pull just from looking at these images. Or some of the questions that could help build a story that come up when I look at these cards. This tiny little lady, or giant eggs, depending on how you want to look at it. But every time I look at this, I just, the short little arms, just makes me think of a corgi. I almost see a corgi instead of the humanoid figure. But also, why are they in this basket of what looks like to be reptilian eggs? It's almost got that kind of like Jack and the Beanstalk vibe. You snuck in here, you want to steal something. Oh my, I love the turtles in this card. Lots of circles going on. There's layers of circles. And the turtles are walking around this reptile, snake with arms, or dragon maybe. And they're all walking in one direction, except for this guy with the orange sand, who's going in the opposite direction. And this little turtle's retreated, doesn't know what to do. I imagine there's going to be a bit of a domino effect happening when they all kind of crash into each other. I think that's really cool that the outer circle is the one that's experiencing some issues and perhaps some blockages. The Ten of Pentacles, a humanoid or maybe a fairy, maybe it's a human. No, they have pointy ears. I'd be a little worried if they were all human. They look much too thin. Giving birth, wanting, the midwife handing the baby over, or if you flip it the other way, maybe stealing the baby away. It can really be read in so many different ways because of this circular shape. I'm really intrigued by it. I haven't worked much with circle decks, so definitely none that were tarot decks. These are the backs. So, this one's super fun too. You have a figure in armor going inside this snake, this coiled up snake. All you can see is his armored butt there. And it's just really fun to look at. To think about, what does the snake represent? Is it a literal snake? What is possessing him or her to go into that coil? The Queen of Pentacles, a tiny little fairy sitting on a mushroom. Their face, or half of their face, covered with this squid-like hat. The King of Pentacles looks like a true warrior, a true victor, but looks a little sad. They have not a chain, but there's something on their legs, as if they have escaped a confinement. Some figures trying to work with fire. One's more illuminated than the other. One's very focused. The other's kind of peeking at the other. And I like this fire's up high, this fire's down low, this hair is down, this hair is up. you can really get a sense of push and pull in a reading. Lots of reptiles in this deck, which I like. Ooh, here's one with a figure hiding, another figure hiding. So this guy's just playing with his singing organs here, and there's some sort of hidden figure behind the instrument. Who are they? What are they doing there? Does this guy know that they're there? Were they there because they weren't supposed to be, and then, this guy came home and they're hiding? What's going on in this story? Here we have someone protecting another person. From what? Or from who? Will they succeed? Will they both get out okay? Will one of them only survive? This one made me laugh. The Eight of Wands is this woman, or this figure, walking very proudly away from whatever's behind her. She's still looking back. But in this hand, there's a dagger, and she's holding a head, like a severed head. There's blood. So I definitely get like the sense of a bad relationship, or needing to be set free. And just the coloring here with the red sky. This guy kind of reminds me of the hermit also. He's studying away. A squirrel has a bunch of candles on their head. Another card that could be a lot of fun to read, depending on the direction that it's pulled in. But when you're just looking at it, it's another one of those images that makes me question my sense of perspective. Because it feels like it's, a bunch of fairies dancing around a fire almost. But then you're looking down at them, but you see, you see their side, their profile. So it really makes you question your perspective, your sense of perspective. Plus the turning of the circle, this one really trips me out. This knight is a unique kind of knight in that I feel like the figure and their steed aren't moving in what am I trying to say? They're not moving in like a synchronized way. Like their legs are wrapped around the steed's wings. So I feel like in the next movement that they make, there's going to be something that goes wrong. This person's going to be thrown off, or they're not going to be able to keep flying. The steed's looking back instead of looking forward. It's just a really strange image. There's other flying figures, so I get the sense that they're in the air, and it just makes me wonder, because of this entanglement and the confusion of what will happen next. The next second. What will the next second bring? The Two of Swords. There's like a humanoid figure behind or within the elephant. The swords are the tusks. Very ghostly. And then this one, maybe I'm weird, or it could be because there was a pregnant lady just a couple of cards before this one. And the coloring in this card just makes me think that this is happening like inside a womb. And there's these three figures with swords that haven't quite been born yet, but they're all kind of pointing swords at each other, at different parts at each other. This one has a sword at this one's legs. This one's pointed at a stomach. This one's pointed right at the chest. Yeah, super weird. In my mind, that is. Here's the Four of Swords. This man meditating, this rainbow man. There's things sprouting out of him. And because of that, I get the sense that he's been here for a long time. I know everyone in this deck is just stupidly thin, but I get the sense that in this case, he's been here for so long, he's just kind of withering away into nothing. Or not into nothing, into something else almost. Becoming a part of the earth. That's the story I get from him. Almost like a sacrifice. The Five of Swords. I like this because I like that it's zoomed in just on this bug. It makes it seem super tiny. Like in my mind, I imagine it being so teeny, like you can't see it with your bare eyes. And its legs are also hands, just holding swords. Swords everywhere. Even the stinger's a sword. It's just this tiny microscopic little sword bug. In the Six of Swords, you have an angel holding a lamb. You get the sense that they've just finished a battle and they're moving forward. Oh, I love this Eight of Swords. This is the one that like really popped out at me the first time I flipped through the deck. It's this figure in a cell, it seems, trying to break out. There's a bunch of broken swords, and they have 3 left. You get the sense they've been here for a while. This beard is down to the floor. But because of the coloring around the edge of the cell, the feeling that I got is of us looking through a crystal ball and seeing them that way. The Ten of Swords, this fairy disintegrating into thin air, just wisps, disappearing into nothingness, or getting pulled down into nothingness, or somewhere in between. And the Page of Swords almost gives me like a Seven of Swords feel. You know, they've got this goose here, but they're looking back at all this gold, and just kind of a sneaky look and a sneaky posture makes me feel like they're stealing these things. The Queen of Swords flying through an Arctic land on a giant owl, or a tiny creature on a normal-sized owl. But either way, I love this image. I always look at the Queen of Swords in a deck. And the King of Swords is kind of the only... I put him last because he's the only one that this card pulls me out of that mysticism of the rest of the deck. I don't know if it's just because it's so jumbled or because the background's not like that soft watercolor that every other card has. I'm not sure. But overall, this has been the deck that was able to pull me into a mystical world, into its stories, completely and fully submerge me in its own little world since I was in high school. So I just want to share that and talk about it a bit. And if anyone watches this and want to share, you know, what decks they have that are very immersive, that they get pulled into that world, I would love to see those. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you've made it this far, stay safe and take care. Bye!